everybody, welcome back to my channel. Mia here. Today's video is going to be all about the 5 huge books that I do want to read sometime during 2018. Now I have a lot of very large books, so I decided to go for the biggest ones that I have, and I picked 5 of those. Each book is pretty much over 900 pages, with the exception of one book which is almost 700 pages. Nonetheless, all of these books are enormous, therefore they're very intimidating, and I just really wanted to give myself the motivation that I needed in order to finally pick them up and read them. So I do hope to read them definitely before the end of this year. So 2 of the books that I have on this list are in Spanish, and I believe there is a translation, definitely at least for one of them, but I'm quite sure there's a translation in English for both of them. However, my copies just happen to be in Spanish, but I definitely want to read them, so I'll share them with you. The first one is Don Quixote de la Mancha, and this is by Miguel de Cervantes. And when I was younger, I was obsessed with these stories. I found them very interesting, and I also used to watch this TV show that they had. Of course, it wasn't in this country, so I'm not sure if you guys had something like that here, but there used to be this cartoon animated TV show for kids about his stories. So pretty much this follows a man who is not mentally stable. He's got some issues, and he believes he is a knight, and he rescues princesses, he fights dragons, but they're not actual dragons, and they're like, he will fight a windmill, for example, thinking it's a dragon. He's got some mental issues, and I just really enjoyed everything that I've experienced in regards to this kind of stories so far, and I wanted to read the actual whole book to see if I still love it. So this is very intimidating because it's about 1044 pages long, so it's very long. On top of that, the pages are very thin, as you can see, and the handwriting is relatively small also, so it's very intimidating. And the other thing that intimidates me about this book is the fact that it's in Spanish. I actually read Spanish slower than English, mainly just because I read more English books than I do in Spanish. So even though I'm fluent on both languages, I just have more practice in English books than I do in Spanish versions. So I think this will take me a little while to actually finish, but I hope to enjoy it, and I look forward to reading it sometime before the end of this year. The second book that I have that is in Spanish is 2666, and this is by Roberto Bolaño. I know this one is translated in English, so you can get your hands on it if you want, but I have the Spanish version. I honestly don't know too much about this particular story. All I know is that it takes place in a town in Mexico where these women are just disappearing. So there's a large number of women gone missing and cases like those. So there's several people that are investigating what is going on in this town that is making all these women disappear, and what is happening to those who actually disappear. So it sounds very interesting. I've heard it's a fantastic detective kind of read, a mystery kind of read. So I picked it up a few years back, and I've never actually picked it up because it's huge. Again, the handwriting is relatively small and the pages are very packed, and also it is it's 1125 pages, so it is quite a chunker. Big book, but I do hope to read it nonetheless. Hopefully I do get to this one as well. Another book I really want to get to is actually a trilogy, but all in one book, and that is going to be Legacy of the Drow, and this is by R.A. Salvatore. I actually read the Dark Elf trilogy, which is the first trilogy from these characters and this world and whatnot, and I really enjoyed it. If you've been with me from the beginning, then you probably already know that. And I ended up purchasing this one and then the following trilogy, so I have 3 trilogies based on these characters and on this world that I've been wanting to read. I read 1 and I have 2 more to go. So I still remember pretty well almost everything that happened. I'm sure I've forgotten some minor details here and there, but for the most part I feel confident that I actually remember what happened in the first trilogy, so I don't think I have to reread that trilogy in order to start reading this one. So I look forward to doing that. I think this might be an easier read for me because I can actually break it down and read 1 book at a time, so it doesn't feel like such a chunker, because this is a big book when you add up all 3 books into one. It's 1,077 pages, so it's quite large, but the writing is a little bit bigger than the 2 previous books that I mentioned. So I think this one might be easier to read. I really enjoyed this world and those characters, so I don't foresee any issues reading that particular book. Another book that I definitely want to pick up and read at some point during this year is going to be The Pillars of the Earth, and this is by Ken Follett. I've been intrigued by this book for a while now, although I don't feel that it's necessarily my type of read or my go-to type of read, but for some reason this particular book has caught my attention and I've been wanting to read it for a while. I haven't, mainly just because it is such a big book, and the topic itself, like I said, it sounds very interesting, but it's not something that I would be extremely gravitated towards reading. I have this particular book and I also have the second book. I don't know if there's any more, but I have the continuation to this one as well. But as long as I read this one, I'll be fine waiting to read the other one until the following year. Pretty much, let me read to you what it says in the back the story is about, because I feel that it's very well explained and it's pretty brief, so it might give you a better idea than me going on about it. It says, The Pillars of the Earth tells the story of Philip, Prior of Kingsbridge, a devout and resourceful monk driven to build the greatest Catholic cathedral the world has known, of Tom, the mason who becomes his architect, a man divided in his soul, of the beautiful, elusive Lady Aliena, haunted by a secret shame, and of a struggle between good and evil that will turn church against state and brother against brother. A spellbinding epic tale of ambition, anarchy, and absolute power set against the sprawling medieval canvas of 12th century England. This is Ken Follett's historical masterpiece. So I think it sounds very interesting. I hope I enjoy it as much as I think I probably would, and I look forward to reading this sometime this year. This book is a total of 973 pages, so it's almost 1,000 pages long. And the very last book that I have for this video is actually the one that looks the biggest, but in reality it is the shortest out of all of the books, and that is Desperation by Stephen King. I honestly purchased this book because of the cover, let's be real. I was on a library sale, I believe, and I just saw the cover and I had to have it. So I really don't have a clue what this book is actually about. However, after reading the inside of the cover, I've gathered that this story is pretty much about this small town called Desperation and this crazy police officer who, if you happen to run into him, I get the feeling he would probably kidnap you and do horrible things to you or not let you leave the town, something along the lines of that. And he follows several different families who have had the misfortune of running into such a person. So it sounds very scary, it sounds very suspenseful, and I do enjoy Stephen King's writing, so I look forward to reading this. Hopefully this book won't take me as long as it has taken me, but hopefully I do enjoy it just as much. And this book here has a total of 690 pages, so it's almost 700 pages long. There you guys have it. Those are the large books that I really hope to read sometime during this year. Hopefully I can get them out of my TBR little by little. and I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend so far, and I will see you again very soon in another video. Bye!